here, after writing a Python 3, what you do that, then you add your section there, your Python file name, right? So here it's called section.py. So section.py. Then you run enter. So you run enter here. So here you have print out the age, which is 25, right? Because we call age, and in age you have the value, which is what? The integer, which is what? 55, right? So that's how to assign an integer to a variable. And also the same applies to float, which float is also what? Float is decimals, right? So when we talk about float, it's decimals, right? So maybe you have height equal to 5.6. Okay. So here you can also print out the height. So float this is how we write float. Like a decimal, every decimal number is called float. So even you can convert this one to even decimal number. So a float, right? If in case maybe you're taking input from the user and you want to maybe a price of items. Definitely, maybe if it's a whole number, the person maybe enter maybe 25 and you want to convert it to a float, you can just add the float to it, then to convert it, which we will later look at that one. So here, let's try and run that one to and see. Let's Python 3 section.py. So we have, so we here, because the reason why we're having 25 and 5.6 that we are printing out the age here and you're also printing out the height here. So all print out in this section here. All right. So that's how to declare a float. I also have a string. With a string, you have something like this. You have something like name is equal to, then you put it in the in quotes, right? So this string, you cannot leave the quotes. When you leave the quotes, it's an error. There's something like this. It won't run. When you run the code, it will give you an error. So always you have to put strings inside quotes, right? Yeah. So here's our name. We can print out our name too. Can print out our name too. Let's comment these things so that don't print again. Let's print only our name. Let's see whether it will print. Yeah, so it says John. Okay, so that's just by the way. That's just about strings, right? Which you'll be using it along as you are going forward, right? And a boolean too. We have a student. A student. Maybe I'm checking whether the list of items I'm going through something, and I'm checking whether this one is true or false. So maybe I have student, and I want to check whether it's student. So I'll pass it student equal to true. So whenever maybe I see this particular ID, I know that this particular ID is a student, and I'll let it to perform an action. So if it's false, meaning that whenever you see that particular student ID, then allow that particular ID. So I think with a boolean, unless we have we work on example, then we get to understand it very well. Okay. So let's go on some basic operations. But before that, let me show you how a list is like, right? A list in Python. This is like maybe favorite food. Um, favorites dot food. Right. So here, so this is how to declare a list. We have a square bracket around it, and you have each and every item inside the list being put. So here we have a list is having strings, right? They're having strings because all these items here are string. Because we have the chicken because it's been in quotes. But if you are declaring if you are typing an integer, you don't have to put integer or float. You don't have to put in a quote. Like example, maybe 40. 40 just a string. This one integer, so we can just type it like that. But when I type it a string, you have to make sure they are being put in a quote, right? So let me delete one. So this lists. So with list, we put a list of items. It can be any items. Can mix them with numbers. Collect a list of things, right? And also, let me show you guys dictionary, right? With the dictionary, let me like this. So you see it all. So dictionary is called a key pair value, right? So here we use curly braces instead of square bracket. We use curly braces for dictionaries. So here we have person. The name is what? John. The age is what? Okay, so this is the key, and then here's the value. Key value, key value, key value. So the age, the name, age, and the city, they are all keys. And the John, 30, and the New York, they are values, right? This is how um, we declare we declare a dictionary. So it's used in most cases, every dictionary or particular person. So when you call that particular person, it will give you the name of or information about that particular person. So let's try and print out this dictionary, and let's see the output. Let me see that we can get. So let's right. So we print out the list of the dictionary, and we have students. You have the name for the person. You have their name, and also have the age. The age is 30. You have the city. That's New York, right? So um that's dictionary for you. So let's move on to the basic operations, right? So we have the arithmetic, we have the string operations, we have the input and output, and also we have the conditional statements, right? So let's look at some basics arithmetic. Okay. So here, um, let's addition. Let's declare a variable called addition. Okay. Addition is equal to plus 4. Okay. So here, let me the rest subtraction to the same subtraction, and also with the multiplication we use the star, right? This particular yeah, and also this division to use this forward slash. Okay, so let's try and print out the addition, and let's see what to give us. So print into brackets addition. So let's see what our code will give us. So here, let's run our code, and we have addition to 5 plus 4 is 9. So here we call we print out the variable, which is inside that variable we assign 5 plus 8. Okay, yeah. So the same way for the other operations to that, the subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, yeah. So here also we also have integer divisions, which is they can use the slash, and also we have the modulo. Modulo, for the modulo we have something like this modulo. So here we can use 15, and we use index sign for modulo, right? And we all know modulo to give you a remainder, right? So you want to find a remainder of a number or something. That's the modulo of a something. This how you write your code. And this particular so the modulo I'm using, the names I'm using here, it's just for you to guys just know what I'm doing, but it's just a value. You can declare any value. Sorry, you can use any names for these things. Yeah, this can be add or something. So that necessarily means that anytime you want to add something, you have to declare the variable called addition. Nah, this is variable name. You can use any variable name, but you have to make sure the variable name makes sense, and whoever takes your code, the person understands what you are doing. Okay, right. So that's just arithmetic operations, and it's just easy as this. Let's move on to string operations. Okay. So
Hello, sir.
yeah,
Please, with the addition, subtraction, and the division, did you run the code?
around for addition, but with the subtraction and division, they are all the same. You just print out. So this is the code, right?
Yeah,
You
but
have,
I didn't see the outcome.
oh really?
Yes, please.
All right. So let's Python Python 3 section dot py. Let's run it. So this one I print out addition. So the
Yeah.
answer was what, 9,
Okay.
right?
Please.
So I can print out this one too. Let's print out the rest of the so we have the printouts for subtraction, have the multiplication here, division, and the modulo here. Let's see the output. So we have 9 for addition, 1 for subtraction, and also we have the 20 for multiplication, 1.542, sorry, 25 for division, and 3 for modulo. Okay. So yeah, so that's how to run the so the print function is just call the variable name, and whatever is being assigned to the variable name, you just print out the answer for you, right?
Yes, sir. Please,
Okay.
my question is, why did you bring the desktop Python 3 section dot py before running it?
Yeah, because that's where our code is. Our code is inside this particular file. This code that you're writing here is being saved in the Python section.py. And the Python here is telling that you are running a Python file, right?
Yes, please.
It's telling the interpreter that you're running a Python file. So, and the Python file is called section.py. And inside that particular file, we have this particular line of code. So when you run it, it will just go through this line, then just whatever I need to execute, you just execute them. And whatever I need to print out, we just print out for the users to see. Right. So
Um,
the section this is saying it's a Python file. We want to run a Python file, and the file is called section.py. You want to say something?
yes, please. Please, so without the desktop Python 3 section, without that one,
Now,
you can't run your code.
so the desktop here, right,
Yes, please.
is my directory. I don't know whether you know directory. So it's
Yeah.
a folder,
Okay.
on my machine. So my machine, inside on my machine, I have folders, right? It's
Yeah.
like my PC. So when you go to this section here, right,
Yeah.
I have I have um I have application, I have music,
Mhm.
videos, desktop, documents, and download. And then the file is inside desktop. This is the file. This is
Okay.
the file. Yeah. So before I can run the files, make sure that I'm in that directory. In that folder,
Okay.
right? Yeah. I'm in that folder. So I mean that was what
That was
I
what.
was. Okay. So let's
Thank you.
continue. Yeah.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, can we get the Python file? I don't know. I want to download and follow as well, but I don't know how to do that.
This file
This file,
you can just create it on your machine. So as I was saying, so when you open the VS Code, you can go to the top here, right? Have you installed Python on your machine?
No, sir.
And so I drop a
so I
link
drop a link
in the
in the
chat
chat.
section that if you want to, it's called the python.org. If you go there, you can download Python and install on your machine. And also you can install VS Code, VS Code. But I think since someone is recording, maybe if in case you don't, person can share the link
Share
later
the
for you
link
guys.
later for you guys.
Yeah, say I understand, but I was telling about this. I was talking about the setup rather, like how to set it up because I know VX Code, but I don't know how to link the two.
Yeah, so with the Python, you just have to install Python on your machine, like normal installation for an app, right? So you when you see with Mac, when you install the Python, it's straightforward. But sometimes with Windows, you need to go to this one. After installing the Python, you have to go to where is in VS Code to go to extension. Then make sure you install the Python extension over here, right? There's yeah, so this thing you have to install this thing particular extension over here, right? And also if you're installing the Python, make sure there's a section called add to path, PATH, add to path. Then make sure you take that one before you install, so it tells the machine that this particular installation you can run files in the system, right? So make sure you add that one to path and you install the extension. Then there you can run your code or you can do whatever I'm doing some, right? And if you want to, after opening the VS Code, you can go to the top here and go to new file. When you click new file, you'll see a pop-up which are asking you to name to save the file. So you can name the file like you have name on section.py and save it. But when you're saving it, make sure you know the exact location of the file. So that you save it on your desktop, your documents, or you create a folder and put it inside. So you have to make sure you know the exact place you are saving so that if you want to run the code, you can just go to the down here, then just run your code from that particular section. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so that's it. Let's continue. So the next one to talk about is string operations. String operations. So here you have greetings. Like for example, it's like greetings. Greetings is equal to hello. Hello world. So here you can just hello world, right? And also we want to what we want to do is that we want to make sure when you print you say hello, right? When we say hello, we add a name to it. So maybe hello, the name is maybe Evans, right? So we are working with string operations, right? Then we have another variable called message, which is equal to here. What we need to do is that we call our variable name. This one greetings, right? We call the greetings. Then we leave space. So this thing means space, right? This thing means space. Then we call our name. So what you are saying is that it should print out greetings, hello. Sorry, what you're saying is that we are assigning this particular line of code to the message, which is message in the inside the greeting. A name is what Evans. So it will say that hello Evans. So here, let's try and print out. Maybe I'll read that one to explain it well for you guys to get it. Right. So it says hello Evans. So what it's saying is that we declare a variable called message and we assign greetings plus. So the plus is like you're adding this, and this one means that there's a space between, right? So there are also better way of writing this particular line of code, right? The message, which you can use the string function, and that one is the best practices, right? Best practices. So here, the string function is that's yeah, you declare f, then you put the f into curly braces. Sorry, you put a quote in front of the x. Then here, your variable, you put your variables inside that particular int. Then you put them inside the curly braces. So as you can see here, greetings inside the curly braces, this particular greetings here. And in this case, we didn't use the plus and also the quotes with space. And we also put the name inside the curly braces, right? So this space here is saying there should be it's supposed to be a space between this one and this one. So this one is very, very simple and really efficient way of running your code. So we're saying that print out using the F function, print out greetings. So it will be hello Evans, right? Let's try and print and see. So yes, let's print out message, print message. Let's go to yeah. So when you run it, you see we had hello, right? So yeah, so that's string operations. So we can also see we use something like maybe repeat.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, please. We have a question.
Okay.
Yes, so I don't know, maybe we joined late, but it seems like you're using a lot of keywords, string operations, variables,
Uh,
and we don't really understand. So if
yeah.
you could
So
explain.
yeah. But then I think maybe next time you guys supposed to join early because it's a little bit. So we with the string we fight we have variables and data types, right? So the data types we have strings, which is like a word, like words that you can put it inside. You can put them inside quotes, right? So this particular thing here is a string. Okay, this is a string. So anytime you have a string, you have quotes, a word, then you put inside the quote. It's called string. So here's assignment. You assign a value. So we have a variable here which we call name, and you've assigned John, which is a string to it. So this particular is a string. And we also have integer, which is also a data type with integer, which is something like age 25, right? So the 25 here is you have a variable called age, and the age is being assigned an integer, which is what 25. We also have a data type called float, which is in float. Float is called normal English is called decimals, right? So something like height, right? 1.75. So that's float, right? And we also have Boolean, that's the true or false. In case you are doing logic conditional statements, you'll be using the Boolean, that is true or false, right? I also have advanced data type, which is the list, and also dictionaries, which you'll be using later. The main one that will be playing around it is the integer floats, the strings, right? So the strings and integers, we'll be using that one as in many. I hope you are clear with that. And
I'm close.
also,
We
yes,
are close.
so that one is also recording. So later you can just look at it and yeah,
Hello, sir.
yeah.
Please, how do you run the program?
So as I was saying, um, we after writing your code, right? Most cases, some beginners, they just click on this particular run Python file over here and to run the code for them, right? But which is not efficient way of running your code. In most cases, you have to open the terminal. So mostly you won't see, right? You won't see this terminal. Okay, it's going to but then you just go to the top here and go to new terminal, and it will open this terminal for you at the down here. Then since you are working with Python, you have to know the exact place you save your Python file. So in this case, save my Python file. Oh, is someone trying to speak and the network is messing up or something? Because so someone says I should zoom in. Let me see. I hope it's Yeah, so let's try and run it. You open the terminal, see it's like this, right? So yeah, this is a terminal. Then here you have to make sure you navigate to where you have your Python file. So it's on my desktop. Then where if you navigate to the folder or the directory in which you have your Python file, you type Python. If you're using Windows, just type Python. Then after that, you space, then add the name of your Python file. In this case, it's what? Section.py. So you just add that one, then you run it, enter, then it run it for you. If you're using Mac, you add the 3 to it because with Mac, it's come with default Python 2 already installed on it, right? So and we are not using Python 2 anymore. So if you install after install it on Mac, you have to make sure you specify the exact Python version, that is the Python 3, before running your code. Okay, so let's continue. So here, the next one, we want to print and repeated strings, right? So here, maybe we can do something like hello, but we are saying that what you are saying here is that hello, but let's repeat it 3 times, right? So let's try and print out here. Let's see what the answer will be. Let me comment out this one so that it won't print out. So here we are running the Python 3 section.py. So you see that print out hello 3 times. Okay, 3 times. If you want to space to be within, you can just add space after the O. Okay, so here let's run it again. So you see you have hello to print 3 times, right? So that's string operations. Okay, that's string operations. So let's move on to input. So with input, mean that you are taking information from the user, and the output also the one we're doing. That's the printout. That's the output. But with the input, mean that you will be taking information from the user. So in that case, maybe you write a code that is asking the user to enter a name. After entering the name, you just try and say hello, the username, right? So first of all, let's declare a variable called name. Then use the input function. So you have something called input, which is inbuilt function in Python. And you bring so this an input function, right? So inside that particular function, use the bracket. You write what? A string called maybe enter your name, right? It says enter your name. That's what this particular line of code. So we are taking input from the user, and that input we will store it inside our name variable. And after that, we can print output our code. So what you are saying here is print out a string. The string, we are using the format string, which is saying hello. Then we put the variable name inside a curly braces. So this particular one is a string, which is not a variable. So we just type it like that. Then since the name that add to the hello is a variable, we place it in curly braces.
Sir, please. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please add number 2, print the bracket. The F there, what does it stand for? And why F?
Yeah. So we have something called format string in Python, and it's a way of printing out or formatting a string. All right. So we have the old way, which is um I was showing you guys the old way, which is
Who say intimidating?
the hello, something like this, right? Then you can bring after that you can bring what your variable name. like this, right? So this one is the old way of printing similar thing like this. So this one is saying hello. You can ignore this one. Then the next one, after your comma, bring what the name, right? So this one is the old way of printing, doing string operations, right? But then the most convenient, efficient way, and very formatted way is using this one. You make the code comma, right? So it's like a way of formatting strings, which says you bring your f, right? I beg the person who is talking can mute his himself so that we can continue the class, right? Okay. So we have after the first string, we have the you bring your quote, right? Inside the quote, whatever you want to put inside, you can put inside. So, but then inside that quote, whatever thing that you want to put, if the thing is a variable, like you have a name here which is variable, you put that one in hot in a quote. Right? I said that if the thing is just string, just type it like that, right? So here, you can even type hello you and say how are you, right? So here we this one is just a string which you just put it inside, and this one is a variable. So since it's a variable, we put it inside what a quote. Sorry, a curly braces. So let's try and run the code and see. So we run our Python 3 section.py,
Sir, please, my
and it says,
question again.
all right,
Please, so why can't we print it straightforward, like doing it print, then we bring the curly bracket and bring the commands,
this
then yes, without the F.
something like
Yes, without the F.
it's if you without the F, mean that so say as we remove the F, you see this one also change to red. Mean that
Yes,
whatever is inside here is a function, is a what? It's a string.
so that please. So what I mean is that you just write hello, maybe hello, how are you? Then you put it in the curly bracket like that. Is that possible?
Come again.
Or it will also tend to string. I mean,
So if you declare anything you put inside this one a quote like this, without specify it, it tends to what a string. Everything will be a string.
so
Even
it will
if
not
because
run.
see if you run this if you run this if you run this particular line of code, it will print. Let's quit this thing and run it. And let me see it. Let me show you what you print out. Sorry. So, let me comment out this thing. So you see, it's print out hello into curly braces, name, how are you doing? Because the Python, since we didn't use any formal string, it's identify this one as what? Also, but this one we are supposed to use as what? A variable, right? Supposed to use it as a variable. Okay.
Okay.
One, if you want to print, unless you do it this, then you do this, and you put it here, which is a little bit complex, right? Because this one is saying, so this one you can print it, but then you have to put this one in a quote. This one in a quote separately, then you leave this one alone. This one, when you try to run this, oh sorry, right. So let me. So here I need to bring the plus sign. I need to bring the plus sign, else it won't run for me. Come on. So, example, let me. If you have this, right, the name. So, okay, the reason why it was not running is because I've commented out the code over here. Sorry, that was why I wasn't reading there. So you cannot. This one will run though. This one will run, but I see this one is a little bit complicated, right? Compared to this using the format string, which is this, right? Looking at this, you just bring the F forward, then just bring your quote, then you put everything inside. But whatever is a variable, you just put it inside a quote instead of using the plus plus around it, right? Yeah. So let me see. The name is Evans.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Hello. Hello,
yeah.
sir. Please,
I can hear you.
yeah, I think the number two is easier to understand than the number three. You know, we are beginners, so like if you can use the number two, that one will be simple for us to understand than the third
Okay,
one.
okay.
Is that the third one is too advanced for us.
Oh no, sir, I mean I like the three.
Yeah, because the three make it lines are very formatted.
Yeah, sir, it's straightforward.
Because you
Plus,
see,
plus.
the only difference is the F over here, and whatever is a variable, just put it inside the curly braces. That's all. But as you are saying, fine, you're a beginner, so fine, you can go with this one. But then, yeah, try and make sure you understand it. Because this one is just use the F string over here, and whatever is a variable, like the way we are using plus, name plus here, you use that, just put it inside the curly braces, and you're good to go, right? So yeah, based on how you understand, you can use both. You can use which one is good for you, but I'd advise you guys to try and understand this one and see how it's
Hello,
being used.
sir.
Because, yeah,
Hello.
yeah,
So you see, those who are saying the number three is simple for them, I think they are those for them. Maybe this is not their first time. You know, you have a lot of people who are doing this their first time. So if you don't use the number two, it is the number three is advanced because that one, if you don't do coding before, you can't be able to follow that one. So you see that the two is simpler for we those who are beginners than the number three.
all right, sure.
Yeah,
I
there's a
get
lot
it.
of beginners who are here to start it for
Yeah,
fresh. So I think we should
but then,
start from the
yes, this are all beginners because the format string is also for beginners. Yes, that's I don't know how you find it difficult to understand, but I get it. Yeah,
This is what I think. So whatever the lecturer is teaching, giving you options. So there are two options there. Whatever you think fits you or you understand, you use that. It's not compulsory to use the two at the same time. So whichever works for you, you pick it. So that we can
exactly.
because the back and forths are too much.
All right, so let's move on. Yeah. So we're moving on to conditional statements, right? So yeah, so that's what you have. You're taking you're taking an input from the user, right? User, which is age. Okay, age. So this particular code, if you run, it will take the Python will think that this particular input here, when if the user enter maybe something like 30, you see it as a string. So most cases, what you do is that you you have something like this, you just put all inside an int function so that it can convert it for you. So here you bring an int here, then put inside, so then you, so that you can copy all of this here and paste it inside the code. So what this code is doing is that you have your input function taking input from the user, and whatever the user inputs, the number you to input, convert it to an integer for you and save it here inside your H file, right? After that, maybe the same applies to this one too. Float too. If you're expecting float, you can just use float over here, which is float, float. Then it will whatever you enter to convert it to float and you save it inside your variable, right? So yeah, so that's it. Let's move on to conditional statements. I think after the conditional statement, we have to take one function because the truth is that I cannot take you guys through, or otherwise you'll be confused. Because what I'm even taking you guys through mostly take like 2 sections or 3 sessions for me to go through when I'm in case I'm mentoring someone, right? I cannot go through all these things. Otherwise, you guys will be confused. Yeah. So we go to conditional statements. Uh, then I'll use that one to show you one way of using a function. Then in our next meeting, then we go through deep inside function and how to use function and several ways of using a function. Okay. So conditional statements, that's where we use the if or else, right? So let's declare a variable called age, which is equal to 18, right? And you say if you want to see that if the user if the age is less than 15, we print out the person is a child. Or if the person is less than 13 is a child. Else, or if the person is greater than 18, the person is a teenager. Sorry, the person between 15 to 18, the person is a teenager. Else, the person is an adult. So let's see how we can work around this particular line of code. So we assume that maybe the user entered 18, right? Or maybe the user, okay, let's take an input from the user, right? Since if I've taught you guys how to use the input function. And we'll start with our logic saying that if age is less than right, less than 13 or 15, right? So this sign here, the column, semicolon, right, is use it when you're using a conditional statement, right? So here the line of code will come under the if statements, whatever you want to show. So this is a condition. We are saying that if the age which the user will enter, if it's so just imagine maybe okay. So just imagine you are taking age from users and you want to check whether the user is a child, the person is a child or a teenager or an adult, right? And then you set your first condition saying that if age is less than 15, you print out what? You print out um, child. So in the if statements we have if Python we have if in conditions we have if we have elif and you have elif is another condition saying that if age is less than 18, right? We print out,
Say,
yeah,
why elif and not if?
why elif and not if?
And not
If
if.
else? If now, oh, so we only use if and else once. By elif, you can use elif as much as you want inside an if and else, right? So if is the first condition, which you can only use if once, you not use if twice. So like the elif mean if else or else if, like else if, right? So we can only use in a conditional statement. We can only use if once within a same statement. You cannot, but you can use inside the code. You can use if statement several times in different places, but within the same structure. So this one is a one structure that we are doing some conditions. So in that case, you only use the if and else once, but elif can repeat different cases, right? Like maybe you're checking for example when you're working with grade, right? We grade, we have the A, B, D, E, and F. So that one, if the user gets more than 80, so that was if grade is greater or equal to 80, print out E. elif, then you do the B condition, then you do another elif for the C condition, another elif for D condition, another elif for D condition, the F if condition. The last one, which is the F, will be the else condition. Okay. Right.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please, when do you use the elif? My network was faulty.
So can you hear me?
Yes, please.
So use the elif if you are having more than two conditions.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Fine.
So here, if maybe we are checking for just child and adults, we won't use the elif. Okay. If you're checking for just child and adults, you use the elif. Whereas if age is less than 15, print child, else print this one. So the else statements, you don't add any statements. You just else, then the rest it's just the printout or whatever you want. You don't add anything to it. So it's himself so that you can just continue. Right. So please make sure you mute yourself for us. Okay. Yeah, so what this line of code is saying, if age is equal to is less than 15, print child. Elif age is elif that's else if age is less than 18. So what is saying, this line is saying that mean that when if the age is less than 18 up to what 15, because with this line of comment 15 is not part, because you are saying age is less than 15, so maybe from 14 to 0, and here is saying from 17 to 15, because if the person is less than 15, this one will run, but if the person is between 15 and 8 to 17, this line will run, else whatever is not part of this one will run at the else side, right? That's what this line of code is saying, right? So this is a conditional statement. Let's run our code and let's see. So let's run. It says let's enter and you enter your age. So you can enter like something like 25. It says adult because 25 does not fall within this. Does not fall within this. So mean that it fall within us. Let's run another code and let's see. Let's run 12. It says child, right? Let's try to run 15. It says a teenager because 15 fall within here, right? Yeah. So yeah, so that's it for the conditional statements. Yeah. So we have cases whereby we're using the loop. Loop are what for iteration. So when we have a list of items that you are going through them, right? So that's when you use the loop. Okay, and with the context statement, you can also use the pause, and that it's later. So sorry, yeah, the loop. You have the for loop and also you have what the while loop. Okay, with the maybe you want to loop through. Maybe you have a list of numbers like from zero to, or you are giving a range. Okay, and you want to loop through them. So you like maybe for uh, I in right. So what this line of code is saying is that so the I represents uh, each element in the list. So this is a list. As I was starting, I tell you the list. With list is used what square brackets, right? So it's saying that for each, the I means each for each element in the list. This is the list. Prints the element. So if you run this file of code, it will print out each element in the particular list, the list we have. Okay. So you see, print out 1, 2, 3, up to 5, right? So it print out each and everything. So it mean maybe you have name of like something like um, John. Yeah. So you have maybe list of, and you says you want to print something like yes for names. You use instead of I, you can use for names. So for name in this one, so mean that each element, each name in the list over here, print out um, hello. So it says for each name inside the list, print out hello name. So maybe hello to print out hello, hello John, hello Richard, hello Mark, hello Paul. Let's try and run a call. Let's see. So we use list for instances like that. When I run maybe a code, can use list. So maybe someone they send you email, your email now emails inside a list. Then they will just run the code and send to the person. Sometimes you see the email will be like, "Hello, this you mention your name." So that's called personalization. Personalize the person. So they just pick your first name inside the database and run the code, and you just say hello to your name whenever you receive an email. Right, so that's what they do. Right. So you see, it says hello John, hello Richard, hello Mark, hello Paul. Right. So it's like it's personalize your name for you. Okay. Yeah. So we also so let me take you guys through the function, which is the basic of function. So functions are a reusable block of code that perform a specific task, right? They help organize your code and make it more maintainable. So you put things inside the function, right? So that you can be able to work with it. So what those codes we've written all, we can put them in one function. So that whenever we need that particular code, we can call that function and it perform that action for us, right? So maybe to write the function in Python, we use the diff function called the diff. Right? That's mean that whatever comes after it is what the function. Let's use the greet, then the name, right? So here, we can on top here we can use based on what we've done here. We can use the name. So the name says what rapture here, right? And it says that um, we have the list over here, and that particular list. So let me. All right. So it says we have a function called greet, and it is taking a variable name or an argument called what? Name. But I think this one was a little bit complex. So let me just do the simple one then. Now when it meets, then we just go to complex. So what this line of code is saying, this is a function called greet, and this function always says hello world. Whenever you call the greet function, it will print out hello world, right? So we have so many functions. So this one is just a definition of function, right? I'm just trying to define. So this is the easy way of declaring a function. So what it is saying, if you anytime you call for this function, which is the greet function, it will print out this information. So let's try and run it and let's see how. Right. So it prints out what the hello world. So we can call this function anywhere in our code. You can call wherever inside your file, you can call it and use it, right? So you can in the function you can even do some calculation here. So maybe you want to calculate someone GPA, you can write all the code under the maybe like GPA calculator or something, right? Then you write all the function inside here saying to add all the mask and divide and things. So you can call it anywhere in your function. You just take an input from the user, then perform the action for you, then it will bring back the answer. Then you can use it for what you want to use it for. So yeah, so that's how that's the easy way of using a function. Now next meeting, we'll dive deep into function, how to use function to create some I do some arithmetics for matrices and also for other stuff, right? Yeah, so do some take input from the user, do some calculation, take the name of the user, take the ID of the user, print out in a structured form. Yeah. So you see, and it also the return values in the function. So you can take after getting an answer. It's not always that you print the answer out. Sometimes you have to return the answer to a certain variable to continue what you are doing. Okay. Yeah. So in our next meeting, we'll look into that, right? Yeah. So if you have any question, you can ask me, else you can end it here. Okay. All right. So I think there's no question. So thank you guys for joining. So whoever recorded it. Okay. Yeah. Some more.
So I want to know how and when you use the int and the div.
Int. So int. Are you talking about the int? Some more. Do I just?
Yes, the one that you just used. Yes.
When to use int and div? So I'm not getting you. Can you just take your time and answer your question?
Okay, I'm saying that I think the int function, the int.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to know when and how you can use that function.
And so you use the int function if you are taking input from the user or there's a value in your code that you want to make sure it's an integer. Because when you take input for the user, all input from the user is recognized as a string. Okay, so you have to make sure you make the Python code do that this particular number is not a string, so it's an integer. But the fact that you entered number doesn't mean the code will. I don't see we using a value. Python see all of those things as a string. So you have to specify that this particular thing is integer. But then if you are declaring a variable straightforward, oh please, Daniel, please can you mute yourself?
Daniel, please.
Oh, you, Daniel.
Yeah, so they see with this one, we are declaring the integer straightforward. So Python automatically recognizes as integer. So in this case, you don't need to convert it to an int. But in the situation where you are taking input from the user, all input is being recognized as a string. So you have to make sure you convert it to an integer before you can save it uh, in the age um this one the age variable. Yeah. So with this one, Python automatically will see because this one is being hard coded. But in a situation where you are taking input from the user, you have to make sure you convert it to integer. If it's only you want it to be the integer. The same way, if you want it to be a float, you can just make sure you convert it to a float. All right. I hope I'm clear.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. There.
All right, sure. So all right. So we will end our section here, and we'll continue next week to look deep dive into functions and how can you function to do some complex stuff. But I would like you guys to all try what you've done so that when you start going to function a bit detail, you guys will not be be really confused. Okay. All right. So thank you for having me. Bye for
Thank
now.
you so much for your time. Bye.